Joining us now is former US Congressman Jim Renacci. Jim Renacci, thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour. We've been hearing about it for some time. It's passed the House of Representatives. It's now under consideration in the Senate. This is Trump's one big, beautiful bill.
The one big, beautiful bill, and it is a big, beautiful bill. And so I think the Senate is going to get there. I hope they're going to get there.
The bill spans over 1,000 pages and includes tax cuts, such as making permanent the 2017 tax cuts, and also introduces additional tax reductions. It proposes $800 billion in Medicaid cuts and eligibility changes. It allocates $150 billion for defence spending, $70 billion for border security, and scales back clean energy tax credits. Now, the White House says that this bill saves more than $1.6 trillion in spending, but there's also concern that this bill will add $3.8 trillion to the federal debt over 10 years. What's your assessment on this big, beautiful bill?
Well, again, thank you for having me. And it is a big, beautiful bill, except the problem is it does add a tremendous amount to the debt over the next 10 years. And that's the real key. Look, I'm very supportive of the tax cuts from 2017 being extended, but I also do think it's time that we really take a good look at how we can reduce our debts and deficits and the trajectory of our debts and deficits over the next 10 years, not add to them. So I think there will be a number of members of the Senate, and there still are some people in the House that are a little concerned about how much it adds to the debts and deficits of the United States government.
The White House is arguing, though, that this bill saves more than $1.6 trillion in spending. Could this be seen as a starting point?
Well, look, there are some cuts in this bill, but there's not enough. I was in Congress from 2011 to 2019. We also made some significant cuts. The problem is much of the expenditures of the United States government are spending that's on autopilot, and none of those expenses are being looked at closely, which are things that really need to be addressed. Because if you're cutting 1.8 trillion or even 2 trillion, but your automatic expenditures, your mandatory expenditures are growing by 5 or 6 trillion, you're not making any headway. And that's the biggest problem we have right now with federal spending.
Elon Musk says that he's disappointed by Trump's massive spending bill, warning that it undercuts the work of DOGE, the agency he once led. Let's take a look.
Disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit, not just decrease it, and undermines the work that the DOGE team is doing.
I actually thought that when this big, beautiful bill came along. I mean, like, everything he's done on DOGE gets wiped out in the first year.
I think a bill can be big or it can be beautiful, but I don't know if it can be both. My personal opinion.
Look, Elon Musk noted that there are parts of the bill that he is thrilled about, but what do you make of Elon's assessment? Is it embarrassing for Trump?
Well, the one thing is true. I'm surprised that Elon has said that, although I agree with what he's saying. Those cuts, about $100 billion in spending cuts, are not part of this big, beautiful bill. I do know there's a rescission package coming out in the next 7 to 10 days to take care of some of that spending. But we're talking about very minor spending cuts in DOGE that could have been put in this bill as well and passed. The problem with making it a separate bill, whether it's 7, 10 days, or even 2 weeks from now, is you have to get approval again from the House and Senate. And that's always the tricky thing when you have a very slim majority in the House especially, but not that big of a majority in the Senate as well.
Elon has thanked Donald Trump in a post today as he steps back from DOGE. He wrote, "As my scheduled time as a special government employee comes to an end, I would like to thank President Trump for the opportunity to reduce wasteful spending. The DOGE mission will only strengthen over time as it becomes a way of life throughout the government." Now, I believe that Elon Musk deserves so much credit for what him and the DOGE team have been able to do, what they've been able to find so far. $175 billion has been saved, according to what's on the DOGE website. It's around $1,000 a year for the taxpayer. What's your assessment of Elon Musk and what he's been able to achieve in these few months?
Well, I'm happy to see that. Look, President Clinton did this. President Nixon did this. All the presidents have said, we need to make these cuts. President Trump has at least set up a commission and committee and moved the numbers to a point where he's saying we need to make these cuts. So I'm happy with what he's done. I think there is wasteful spending. The problem is it has to be cut. Even when I was in Congress, we talked about all this wasteful spending. The Congress has to be able to pass bills that cut this spending or pass a rescission bill, or this will just be a waste of time.
Yes, so let's talk about how Donald Trump does want to make some of these DOGE cuts official. The White House is set to send its first DOGE package to Congress next week, aiming to slash federal spending. Office of Management and Budget Director Russell Vought confirmed the move to Fox Business.
So, rumor has it that we got a big rescission package, an Elon Musk DOGE rescission package coming up. Can you confirm it?
I can. We'll be sending that up on Monday or Tuesday whenever the House is back in session. They will get our first rescissions bill. And again, this has been proposed and we've talked about it. We want to make sure that Congress passes its first rescissions bill, including the DOGE, and we will send more if they pass it. And so this is the first one is foreign aid, USAID cuts, many of the waste and garbage that was funding not only wasteful but hurting our foreign policy, but also the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and NPR. We'll be sending that up and we're working with Congress, and we've had good conversations to make sure that they knew what was coming. They had some input as to changes that could be made to make it something that could pass the House, and we're excited for that to occur next week.
So this is almost a $10 billion package, but it's also below where many Conservatives would like it to be. What's your sense? What's your assessment? And also, what does the future of DOGE look like? As we heard from Elon Musk, that he believes it's going to continue being strong and will be a sort of way of life. What does that actually look like?
Well, look, I don't know what happens to DOGE, but the one thing that has to happen is the DOGE package that's being sent up there next week has to be passed. And you heard that is in his conversations that, he is saying that this is the first set of DOGE cuts. We want to see if Congress can pass these before we send others up there. So that's the White House, that's the administration saying, let's see if they can cut this small amount, because if they can't do this, they're never going to cut a big, beautiful DOGE rescission package either. And I think that's a real key to see whether this can get done. Now, as I said, it's not been done in the past. One rescission package was passed maybe 30 years ago, but we haven't been able to do that in a long time. It'll be interesting to see whether they can get it done. It should be done. I hope it gets done. But again, you got to get the House and Senate both to approve it.
I want to talk about COVID. It's been a fair bit of time since we spent way too much time talking about COVID. But today, FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino has announced that there is an active investigation into the origins of COVID. He wrote on X, "As we read and process reports of a new COVID strain emerging, I want you to know that we are actively investigating in multiple field offices the cover-up of the origin of the COVID virus, along with associated matters requiring our attention. You deserve the answers." Now, it's interesting because at the moment, the White House has on its official website that it was a lab leak, but there are still so many questions left unanswered around the origins of COVID and, of course, the cover-up. What do you make of this, the investigation? What could we possibly find?
Well, look, I know we've been looking for the origins of COVID all the way back in 2019 and 2020 when it first came to the United States. So it's good that we're looking. I would not want to waste too much time on it, but I do know it becomes good political fodder when you continue to look at these things. But I'm not sure we'll ever find out. And at the same time, there should not be any cover-up. So that's always good. But in the end, we got to move forward, not backward. I've said that time and time again. This is more political, but at the same time, it's always good to learn from past history so we don't repeat the same mistakes.
RFK Jr. has made an announcement that's probably triggering for everyone against his Maha movement. He's announced that he's no longer recommending for healthy children and healthy pregnant women to get the COVID vaccine. Let's take a listen.
I couldn't be more pleased to announce that as of today, the COVID vaccine for healthy children and healthy pregnant women has been removed from the CDC recommended immunization schedule. Last year, the Biden administration urged healthy children to get yet another COVID shot despite the lack of any clinical data to support the repeat booster strategy in children.
That ends today. It's common sense and it's good science.
There's no evidence healthy kids need it today, and most countries have stopped recommending it for children.
We're now one step closer to realizing President Trump's promise to make America healthy again.
Look, in my opinion, it seems like it's common sense at this point. We know the impact of COVID has significantly dropped, partly due to widespread immunity from either prior infections or vaccinations. And we know that vaccines are primarily designed to reduce severe outcomes and the risk of severe illness in healthy children. Well, that risk is low. Around 4% of hospitalizations from COVID involve children, mostly with underlying conditions. But of course, the mainstream media always freak out when RFK Jr. is in the headlines in the same way they freak out about Donald Trump and Elon Musk. This is how CBS covered the announcement. They had an article that they published with the headline, "Health Experts Fear Potential Public Health Impacts from RFK Jr. Halting COVID Vaccine Recommendations for Kids, Pregnant Women." Now, health experts and fear, it seems like a headline straight out of 2020, but on RFK Jr.'s announcement, it also comes amid concerns about potential rare side effects from the vaccine, such as myocarditis, if I am pronouncing that correctly, a heart inflammation linked to the mRNA vaccines, particularly in younger individuals. As we covered last week, Biden officials knew about potential COVID-19 vaccine risks and took steps to downplay them, which in my opinion is unforgivable. But what's your assessment of this announcement and the MAHA movement more broadly? Is it really achieving what it set out to?
Well, look, I think you said it best. This is just common sense. And, why would we be trying to push a vaccine, especially on healthy children and healthy pregnant women, when at the same time we know the risks are limited? I'm also a big believer in it's their choice anyway. I mean, if a healthy parent wants their healthy children to have the COVID vaccine, so be it. Those are the rights, the individual rights. But I don't think the government should be mandating any of these things, nor should they be recommending it and pushing it like the Biden administration did.
Former US Congressman Jim Renacci, thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour. Great to speak with you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.